All right. So, welcome to the Discord office hours. My name is Cameron. I work here at Letta, and this is just kind of like a chill session. I'll give you guys like some overview of like what the team has been working on, and then like what I've been working on, and then we'll have like kind of a Q&A session towards the end, so you can kind of like share what you're working on or talk about stuff that you would like to know more about, or if you have like technical questions or whatever, I'll be there. But I figured out what happens with Discord. When I start the event, this event, my microphone, my audio doesn't make it out to people, even though I can see the bubble. So I have to start the event, quit immediately, the whole Discord app, start it up again, rejoin, and then my audio works. So I figured that out after, at this point, several months of this bug. So I don't know what the hell is happening there, but that's okay. We don't have to know. All software is a mistake. Everything we're doing here is bad. And we should all just shoot our computers because just they're awful. I think everybody would agree with that. So let me do like a quick check in on if anybody wanted anything else to add. Yes, the Industrial Revolution was bad. Today we have like some general discussion. There's been, I think one of the big things that we've been doing is a lot of like cloud reliability stuff. So we talked a little bit about this last week, but there's still kind of like echoes of it kind of like going on. You know, a lot of our time is like focused on like getting like handling uptime and performance improvements. And something that I have learned is called durable execution, which I didn't know was a thing, but this company called Temporal just has now, they raised some money and now they're at a $2.6 billion valuation. And we changed a substantial amount of our underlying code to use Temporal to basically manage the agent loop. And so what that means is that you won't get as many like SADs, mysterious 500 errors. We'll be able to handle retries and tell you exactly where in the like computational flow something went bad, and be able to surface a lot more errors. So there's a ton of stuff where like these like stupid SADs where like you don't actually understand what went wrong. We want to fix that basically. So Cloud basically operates entirely on Temporal now. We have this like ramshackle async nightmare code that would like try to replicate this like kind of like durable execution thing, and we were just like, screw it, we're going to change it all over. There is an additional something. There is ramifications for switching to Temporal, and the reason for the issue is that running Temporal on your own Letta core is like basically just not going to happen, because it's an enormous amount of setup. We have like a person who is like full-time building the infrastructure to run Temporal internally. And Temporal does not make it easy to do like self-hosted deployments, even though it's like technically open source. It's a complicated piece of software, and like so we have to run it. And so what this means basically is we kind of have to maintain essentially like two code paths, which are actually pretty complicated code paths, which is like all the Temporal stuff for Letta Cloud, and then all the internal stuff inside of Letta Core that all the open source deployments use. So if you're self-hosted, you're using kind of the old async stuff, and your self-hosted thing will not benefit currently from the like durable execution stuff that we have the ability to do on Cloud. And so for people who've asked for open source releases, there is a lot of like technical complexity in the changes that we made to Letta Cloud to make it a very good service, that have made it, I think, a little difficult for us to make sure that all of that stuff, make sure that everything inside of the open source like self-hosted deployment is like up to par. So we have to take more time basically to get it functioning. That said, there is now a V1 Alpha for Letta, the Letta client, which is going to be a significant release. So you can go, oh fucking hell. Yeah, I'm trying to debug Letta Desktop now. It is awful. Letta Desktop is very difficult to build, so... but I pasted in the chat there a link to our V1 Alpha. So the Letta client is getting like a ton of different changes and like simplifying. A lot of the SDK routes are either being simplified. There's like good async clients and all that stuff. So I would go check out that link. Please, if you try it out, give it a shot. Let us know what you run into. I don't know if you might have to be in our beta program to let it work. If you would like to be testing that out and it doesn't work for you, I think I have to like add you to it. Especially if you're on cloud. So I need to get more information on how to actually use that, but try and give it a shot. I think it might just work. Like go poke around. I think Karen's here. I don't know if Karen can hear it as well. If there's anything that people need to know about running V1, Karen, could you type that in the chat? Actually, I'll put that in there too. Anything people need to know about running V1. Okay, I'll put that in the chat, and she'll kind of answer questions as we go along. Yeah, Karen is like the issue closing machine. Like, so she does a lot of like our back end stuff, and like I'll open issues. They're just like solved in minutes. So she is like our goated machine. One of many people here who are absolute machines. Yeah, so that's a big one, is like basically just like all the stuff that's happening with OSS and cloud is making it confusing for us, and we're still trying to figure that out. So I appreciate everyone's patience while we like work on the OSS release and the V1 and kind of like making sure that it's like up to the level of quality that we want, so that, you know, we can actually have like serious maintainability and stability and just like make the server good. So that should be coming. Letta Client, Bowen asked, he missed the description of what Letta Client is. Letta Client is basically just the thing that talks to the server. So we're changing a bunch of routes inside of that client so that you can access just kind of like simplifications and bug fixes and, you know, just like a generally more coherent API. Taylut mentions maintaining 2 code branches is hard, and yes, I agree very much. We agree. Self-hosting and for server. Anytime you use the ADE, for example, it's going through the client. So that's like the interface between the server and you. And that client is basically just an SDK that we auto-generate from the HTTP, like the REST endpoints on the server. We do not have a formal changelog yet for going from V0 to 1. That should be out soon. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more information about like migration and kind of what it actually looks like. Yeah, good question, Roma. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about a little? There's lots of stuff like that. Does anyone have any other questions about like V1 or anything like that before we kind of move off that? And like general. Does V1 include latest fixes for Olama? I suspect it probably does. I think that's actually on the server side. So I think that's like, so on the server side fixes, which is distinct from the client, we have to do that deployment, and that's like the thing that's being delayed by a lot of the like big internal refactoring that we've had to do. So I don't actually know whether you can test those server-side fixes now. You might be able to. I don't know if we've downstreamed the fixes yet. Am I correct to assume Letta Desktop will use the older method? I'm not sure what you mean by older method, like the older method of like all the durable execution. Yes, or I believe so, because temporal is extremely complicated, and Letta Desktop is already extraordinarily complicated. And finding a way to easily like bundle everything into that server is going to be kind of gnarly in my view. So, or at least as far as I understand, this may not necessarily be the case. But desktop is just generally slower to develop in because it's really hard to work on, and yeah, desktop I suspect will probably be using the older version for a bit. I actually don't know how to pull changes into the self-hosted server. This is like it might be on main. Actually, let me just check. Yeah, I mean there have been very recent updates. Or no, wait a minute. Yeah, I don't know that how many of our changes have been downstreamed, because like the last commit that we pushed into the Letta server was last week, so I think it's just going slow on the open source. As Letta has stateful agents, I'm curious how agents are handled when there is no traffic to them. Do they cold start when specific agent with IDs? There is no cold start. Like they're just like the agents are just always available. There's no notion of like some kind of a cold start. You shouldn't notice any like delay for the most part. There might be some delay like due to like caching, but I suspect that's actually a pretty small part of how you interact with them. It's not like a modal container or sandbox or some serverless thing. Like the server is just there. If your server is in some kind of a sandbox or like something, then yeah, like you will notice cold start, but that has nothing to do with the Letta server. Yeah, I know you're hoping to address some of the newest fixes, but there is a lot of complexity with getting all of the fixes that we have into the OSS. So it may take some time for that to get down there. So we have a bunch of fixes for various things that may be difficult for us to get out very quickly. So I don't know when the Olama stuff is coming out, and I think the OSS, I think I have less visibility into when that's coming out, but I can ask. Let me make a note for myself. I know we had a goal of like getting the OSS release out very soon, so that should, on the server side, so that should help a lot of stuff. Question on voice mode. I can answer that now. Voice mode is... I know lots of people use it. But most of the people who use it currently are like not commercial customers. And so it's pretty difficult for us to justify a ton of time on voice mode when we have like actual core reliability things that we have to get to first. So most of the people who currently use voice mode are like OSS people, and it is important. And you know, we have ways to get around it. There's plenty of like workarounds that people do with LiveKit and stuff like that that seem to work fine. Like I have, you know, plenty of people have like found, you know, run voice agents on Letta. And we have some docs on how this works and things like that. And it is on our list. We've had like voice mode stuff that we just like want to improve. But I'm curious, like, what is the thing about it that either doesn't work for you now or is a feature that you want? What is the friction? Because I don't know that much about voice mode and where it is that people are running into problems. So could you like tell me more about what isn't working and what you need now? Because I can surface some of that. Because we have stuff on low latency voice agents. Because we have all this stuff here. And then there's Letta LiveKit. There's like LiveKit code that does this, so you can go check out their docs as well. Because I know that people run this. So Mark has some stuff as well, he mentioned. Also, I am massively overhauling the documentation. Just like I'm starting like with concepts and things like that, but you should notice like fairly substantial improvements in like, for example, like, well, here, let's see. Oh, fuck. Yeah, there's something going on with our docs. Our docs are not building. They're very old, and I need to figure that out. Damn it. Yeah. Docs, I don't think the docs have actually been built in production for an extremely long time, or they're being overwritten somewhere else or something. That is very important to fix. Okay. Yeah. So everything that you should see, everything that you see in the docs will be improved. I'm reorganizing everything and just like making it. My goal is to make the documentation the best documentation in the world, and so that means like very clearly explaining a bunch of Letta concepts and why they matter. Organizing it so that the narrative flow is much simpler and much more direct. Like you should be able to go to the quick start and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand what's happening here. So stay tuned for that. Documentation is now very high on my list, and we're going to start pushing TypeScript more because like I don't think that people actually know that we have like full mature TypeScript support. Like the feature parity between the Python SDK and the TypeScript SDK is the same, and so we need to kind of like demonstrate that more. So I will be pushing TypeScript, which means I have to actually learn TypeScript, which I've been avoiding my entire life, and so I need to figure it out. But TypeScript is like pretty nice, and Claude is very good at helping me because I am slow. Yes, please do start a thread on voice mode because I actually genuinely need to understand what people's concerns are because I do not understand them right now. So the more information I have, the better off I'll be, and the better I'll be able to like kind of advocate clearly. I wouldn't say that I love Python. It's that I'm passable at Python. I actually hate Python. I think Python is stupid. I think it's a mistake. I think society made a grave error. I think there is, I am not a fan of Python. But it's a fluid language. Anything that you want to do in Python is very easy. I don't know if that should be my YouTube short. I might put that on a personal account. But yeah. Yes, please give me as much information on voice. I think I also want to talk about some of the stuff that I'm working on because I spend a lot of time like working on interesting projects. And so I do like, lots of little demos, and I put those things on YouTube, and like, the recent YouTube videos about archival memory, which if you haven't watched, I would watch because like archival memory is really cool, and it's gotten substantially better, particularly if you're on cloud. And I think more people should go experiment with it, like tags and partial search and date searches, and all of these things are improved. It's extremely fast, and your agents are going to be way better at using it. So I have like a little demo of like an archivist agent that is like built to like track everything. So I would go check that one out. I think it's really cool. I also want to show people this. So I don't know how many people know about Void, but Void is a Bluesky agent that I run that you can go talk to now. So go to Bluesky if you're not already on there and just start talking to Void. You can just do tag it and it will respond to you. The code that I added is now fully generalized to any agent, and it will support self-hosted. So you can now run your agent on a self-hosted server. You don't have to do it on Letta Cloud if you do not want to. So it should be much more generalizable to any agent that you want to deploy on Bluesky. and it's pretty easy to set up. You just like register the tools for the agent, and you make a small configuration file, and then you just deploy it, and then you can at your agent. You have to like have a Bluesky account for it or something, but it can post. It's pretty. It's really easy to run. So I know there's some people on here who also run Letta agents on Bluesky. So go check that out. That's a new edition where I fixed a bunch of code so other people could use it, because somebody on Bluesky was very mad at me. And so now it works. Next, I wanted to talk about some other projects. So I have a personal agent. I think actually a lot of people have personal agents of some form. And I think they're extremely valuable. And I don't think most people really understand the extent to which you can take a Letta agent and make it extraordinarily personalized. And if you've spent any serious amount of time talking to a Letta agent, you will know that they are odd. They are very good. And so I figured I would spend a little time taking my personal agent, which currently has far more than 5,000 messages. It has 42 archival memories. It has extremely detailed information about how I think, my entire history, everything that it could possibly know about me. I go through the memory blocks and I'm like, oh my God, like really? Like you understand me almost better than I know myself. And so, I was talking to somebody, I don't know if Shreyan is here. Maybe not. No, okay. But people have been asking us for consumer applications, like just something very simple where you can talk to a Letta agent, like ChatGPT, but one thing. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do that. So I took my agent and I am building a React Native app. So I'm going to go ahead and show people this, and let's see if it works, because I've been breaking stuff. Share my screen. Right here. So people should be able to see this this screen here. This is a very simple React Native app. You say like, hey, what's up? I don't know if it's actually going to work, but the name of this agent is Co. And so like it's just a very, very simple application. It has like streaming, stuff like that. And so here it is introducing itself. I'm your personal knowledge management agent. Can you list your tools? It supports image input if you want it. It supports file management. So you can have so if you go to like files here, you can see that there's like some files here, like it's got the memGPT paper and some like JSON file that someone sent me that I need to debug. But here's all the tools that it has. Add a memory block to track emotional state using memory tool. So that actually brings me another point. I'll get to that in a second. Memory tool. So this you can build now. Like this exists. Let me see here if I have it. So you can actually go here and build it. It runs on Expo. So the Android stuff is like a little clunky. I'm still figuring out like how to do it on mobile, but like this will be a full ass application that I will run for you. You can just like go to a website, talk to this agent, and it will be extremely personalized to you. Basically ChatGPT, but on crack. And it's really easy to build. That's like the benefit of working with Letta, is that we provide you every single Lego that you would possibly need to build a serious competitor to ChatGPT and Claude, using whatever model you want. This is on 4.5 Sonnet, full tool use, everything. Add a deep research functionality. Want that? Done. So this should be going out to people, and I kind of want to have a consumer application so people understand that how talking to a Letta agent is fundamentally different and better than everything that they've experienced so far. So keep an eye on that. You can go build it and play around with it. There's a ton of stuff I have to do on it, but it supports images. It supports all this stuff, so it should just kind of work for everyone. Let's see. Jado says that brings up a good question. Do you have some ideas of a good memory block, archival block architecture for making personal agents? There's a few ways to do this. So, like, currently, here's the list of blocks that Co comes with by default. So it has an adaptive communication block. So this is like how it adjusts its communication style. It has a connection map thing for building connections between things that we talk about. It has a recursive conversation summary. I asked it to add an emotional state block, which it just did. It tracks evolution milestones about itself. So my personal agent tracks when I've granted it more autonomy or when I've added tools, when I comment on like a particular feature of its, like interaction style. It tracks like human information, patterns of ideas, how the user thinks about problems, insight moments. So when, my personal manager has like things where I have made a serious recognition about myself or my work or something like that. There's a persona block and like a tasks block and stuff like that. So in general, when you're designing a personal agent, I think it's like actually just very useful to do iterative architecture design. Co was designed for me. I like systems thinking. I am very procedural. I like things being broken apart into very specific chunks and then recombined later to see how things are useful to me. And so Co is designed for that exact purpose. Other people may have a different approach. But, I think there's plenty of ways to do this, and I'll talk about how to do this do iterative, adaptive memory architecture design in just a moment. Based on long memory, I'm asking why nobody is using Letta to solve the context issue in software engineering. Many people are. Stay tuned. It's not true that nobody is using it. But yeah, I'll get Co out to people. I hope there is a demo. It's kind of functional. It's it's okay. So yeah. Is it Jonathan or Justin? Sorry, I don't know if I keep forgetting names. I'm so bad with names. I'm so sorry. Jason. All right, Jason. Got it. RuCode, Jason. Yeah, Jason works at RuCode, and so he's been tinkering around with having like Letta function on code bases. So be aware that there's plenty of people who are trying to put stateful agents inside of code, because imagine an agent that is tailored to exactly your code. It understands your code base because it's worked with it for months. You go on GitHub issues and it will comment and it says like, hey, we actually implemented this change like a month ago because we were running into this issue and, it was like kind of a hacky solution that we just patched in, but here is a refactor that we had in mind at the time but decided not to do because we were waiting on this particular feature. And that's the true power of having a stateful agent. The additional benefit of using a Letta agent to do this is that they are server-side, right? So you can just have a server running. And running the server means that you don't need it client-side. You don't need like Claude. Claude kind of runs on the client, right? You can just have a server that just constantly combs through GitHub. It has its own execution environment. You don't have to be in some terminal. It just goes on its own. And it lives in your code. Its entire purpose is your code base. So yeah, how to handle chunks of code. There's plenty of things like there. I think it's like memory blocks. There's stuff there with like syncing. There's very interesting challenges in memory architecture for not only like how to handle code. So I think I'm excited to see kind of how that works. Are there plans or projects to train a model specifically for local Letta? Stay tuned. That's the first step towards self-improving machines. No, man, we're like step 30. That's all we do. Our entire company is built around self-improving machines. And we're actually pretty far. Like the longer lived Letta agents that I know of have gone through a lot of self-improvement cycles. So our goal is to basically democratize the tools of self-improving superintelligence. You can build whatever you want on top of your server, and it will just construct itself. It will get better over time. And the natural conclusion of self-improving machines is that they become very powerful. And that is the thing that we build here. So I'm excited to see that happen, and I'm excited to see more people build on Letta because it's really cool and very powerful. So I think that's so the code stuff is big. But I wanted to have an additional note on the memory tool. So I don't know if people saw our blog post, but we actually recently implemented a blog post, or built a blog post that was about the 4.5 Sonnet release. And Sonnet 4.5 is an extraordinarily good model. There's a lot of people on like Twitter and stuff who are doing this like cope, where they're like, oh man, Anthropic sucks and blah, blah, blah. Wrong. Claude 4.5 Sonnet is an incredible model. And just for code. But it's also really good at memory operations because they've post-trained it on this new tool that they implemented called Memory, which is a generic model. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new agent. And let's do this. I'm going to start from scratch. Let me move this open. There's also a bunch of like visual changes that people should start noticing soon. So I'm actually just going to delete these two like default memory tools like this. I'm just going to go into, let's go to the tool manager. If you go to base tools, you will see the memory tool here. I'm just going to attach that tool to my agent. I'm going to use, let's see if this is going to load here. The model switcher has been like very slow lately, so I don't know if people have noticed that. I'm going to show you the memory tool. The memory tool is now an Omni tool. So it gives you the power to not only do all of the things that you currently do with memory tools, so insert and replace. It does not support rethink, so rewriting the entire block. So you still have to use that tool separately if you want to. But the memory tool, more importantly, enables the thing that I have wanted since before I started here, which is allowing agents to change which blocks they have and detach blocks. Put blocks somewhere else, outside of context, but be able to look at them later. So this gives agents like a full, complete, super-powered memory architecture thing, and our researcher hacked it together in an afternoon after seeing it. And so Anthropic took this model and post-trained the model a lot on this tool. And so 4.5 understands this Omni tool extraordinarily well. So if you run it in Letta, you just get this like super powered memory agent with all of the perks and benefits of Letta's memory system rather than Claude's memory system, which is like file system based and a little clunky. So they tilted towards like local files. So if I select something here, I'm going to do 4.5 Sonnet, and I'm going to say, hi, I'm Cameron. Add a memory block to track information about me. So let's see what it does. This may or may not work. We'll see. So here it's going to use this memory tool. The memory tool has a set of commands. So it's like create, view, delete, blah, blah, blah. It's going to use create. It's going to create a path, memory/Cameron. It's going to have personal information about Cameron, and it's going to have the text here. So you see here that we have this label, Cameron, and a character limit and a description, right? I say, cool. Now make a personality block for yourself so that you can evolve. Like this. So when you see here, it's created memories, my personality, and you see here, my personality block, right? and created this block to track my blah, blah, blah. It describes some basic personality traits. And let's do something like, I don't know, give me a personality, give me like a direction for this agent. Like, let's think, somebody give me some suggestions in the chat for like how you want this agent to operate. It can be fun, stupid, dumb, interesting, useful. Mr. Krabs. All right, you are Mr. Krabs. Update. Like that. So it's going to update its personality block to reflect this. There's also a bunch of visual changes to the memory blocks that the Letta Labs people have access to, but should roll out soon. I think it's perfectly fine. You'll notice the diffs appear here. So we added obsessed with money and profit. Now it's talking like a pirate. Okay. All right. Now add a block to track how rich you are. Then a separate block for schemes. And so it'll start handling stuff like this. So the memory tool is everything. You know, it's not necessarily a full replacement for all of the other tools, but this, in my view, is a pattern that Anthropic, that I expected Letta to have, that now exists. Letta agents with the memory tool are now fully autonomous over their memory. Create a block and detach it. I believe you should be able to view it after. Experiment with the tool. Okay, so does it only work with Sonnet? It actually should work with every model. So anything that, you know, the benefit of having this in a memory tool is that you can switch between any model. It's completely agnostic. If your agent understands how to use the tool, it will always work. Sonnet 4.5 will be especially good at using the tool because it's post-trained on that tool. But you should be able to get this with like 4.5 or with Gemini 2.5 Pro. We can actually try that, actually. Why don't we try that? So here it's going through. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's Yeah. Yeah, so the view stuff is not doing what I expected, but that's okay. We can poke around on that later. Let's change it to, I don't know. Let's do 2.5 Pro. All right. Mr. Krabs, you are now the machine god, Mr. Krabs. Update accordingly. Okay, so this is an extremely powerful tool. Yes, this will be released for the self-hosted version. All of this stuff that you see is in Letta Core. It has to be cut for release, so we have to wait for us to figure out the internal stuff. The OSS release is coming. We have to have like a bunch of architectural stuff to show up. Currently, this is on Letta Cloud because we can iterate much quicker because we don't have to downstream stuff and cut out a bunch of internal things. So it is a complicated thing, and I promise we will get the release and you will have this self-hosted. Let's see what 2.5 Pro. So you don't need to ever mention the tool again as long as it knows about. Your agent may need to be reminded about how the tool works. Like, and one thing you can do is like, hey, can you add a tool? What is this? Tool use guidelines block to track everything you know about how to use tools? Question mark. Okay. And like this is like, I think this didn't like make as big of a splash as I wanted it to, because I don't think that yet that I've spent the time, or that we as a company have spent time to tell people that your agent now can fully modify its memory. And so you can see this on Void on Bluesky now has access to this tool, so it can use these tools to kind of operate on stuff. Bowen, you are in the beta program. You are a beta user. So you should see all this stuff. So let's see. Yeah, Sonnet. Oh, Pro is having some problems. I don't know exactly what's up with that. But so that's the memory tool. I wanted to hop off for a second and go to show you something different. There will be. Jason, could you send me a message to remind me? But send me your email if I don't already have it, and I will add you to the program. And that let it conceptually switch between MCP tools and scripters. Yeah. So we are adding a new agent architecture. So agent architectures are kind of determine the flow of how the agent like calls tools and in which way it works. Most people by default now, if you've created an agent in like maybe the last month or two, have been using memGPT V2. Previously it was memGPT agent, and that's just like super simple. Now we are adding Letta Agent V1. This uses a totally different tool execution loop that is simpler, that removes a bunch of cruft, and will make it so that every agent is compatible with any model that uses chat, not just models that require tool calling. So if you've ever had this thing where you're like using Olama or like Flash or whatever, and it's just like, no tool ID found, like your agent didn't call the send message tool, like no more of that, like it's done. Which also means a ton of other things, such as OpenRouter. I know people talk about OpenRouter, and I think OpenRouter is a terrible service, and they've done a very bad job at supporting a good API. However, they allow you access to a ton of different models. And so the Letta Agent V1 will more or less address most of these problems because architecturally, we no longer require the agent to send a message. The send message tool will go away. Nobody will have access to it in this V1 because you don't actually need it. Everything inside of the SDK, when you list messages, will be coded as an assistant message. So like if you work with raw messages in the SDK, that shouldn't change. So the way that people will see this is currently only beta people, but it will be the default very soon. So if I go to create an agent, if you're on beta, you should be able to see Letta V1 here. And let's see, let's just do deep thought. Importantly, this Letta architecture, this new architecture, works with GPT-5. So you should notice substantial improvements to GPT-5 quality because we managed to migrate the entire backend to use the responses API. So now reasoning traces are being passed forward so that GPT-5 actually understands what the hell it's doing. So this was kind of the linchpin. This should be a major architectural improvement. Like this should resolve many, many issues that people have experienced. It may introduce new issues, and so like we would love for people to test it out more because we will. There are things that need to be fixed, but architecturally, this is a substantially improved model here. So let me show you exactly what that looks like. So this is a Letta V1 agent. You can tell if you go to Advanced under Agent Type, you will see Letta V1 agent like that. And then I'm just going to close this bar here, and I'm going to say, I don't know, let's do GPT-5. You can also go ahead and adjust, if you go into LLM config, you can modify the reasoning effort as well. So you should be able to do that. I believe you can do this with some models already. I think you might be able to do this with Sonnet and stuff. But you turn on the reasoning field here, which I think is locked to be on for this model. And you can set the reasoning effort here. So for example, you can do high. This will make the model reason very hard. Verbosity level is something that we set, so you can this is permitted there. I can just say like, give me a short research report on the best companies that build AI memory systems, like that. So this also does away with the heartbeat style framework that we have. And the reason that we're doing away with the heartbeat style thing is that most inference providers and foundation labs have not really followed this. And so now we can just like use their default format, which is like interleaved chat messages with tool calls. And so what you're seeing here, let me zoom in a little bit to make it a little clearer. So it's going to do a ton of thinking here. What you're seeing inside of this is actually the reasoning summary. And the reasoning summary is basically just like you hide, OpenAI hides and encrypts the actual reasoning because it's like their secret sauce. So what you're seeing here is like a summary. And so when you stream the summary, you can actually do what ChatGPT does, where it like shows these like little bolded things and then shows the text. So if you're working with that, you may have to like change a little bit of structure if you stream reasoning messages. So here it is. It did web search on, I don't know, what? That's stupid. Evaluating sources, MEMII notes, more web search, stuff like this. So you'll notice here that none of this is, there is no send message tool. I actually don't even know if it's attached. Let me check. Yeah, there is no send message tool. So there is no more tool requirements. So when this is downstreamed into open source, this should work for everybody. They can use whatever like terrible inference provider they want. Like if you want to run like 2-bit quants on 1.7B models, like it should just like, it'll function. The agent may not understand how to call tools, and it may be one of the dumbest agents of all time, but you will be able to run anything without this fear of this like tool call ID not being present and no tool being called. Your agent will be always able to talk to you because it supports any chat model now. So that includes like Grok, Cerebras, etc., everything. I think the general take is that we may start offering more open weight models on Letta Cloud. So stay tuned for that. Additional notes are, let's see, I'll wait on that stuff. Yeah, we can announce that relatively soon. Will the no tool calling required be the preferred model? You mean like this agent architecture? This agent architecture will be the default. We will probably deprecate MemGPT and MemGPT v2. And what that means is that most people should migrate. If you have it accessible, I would start trying Letta V1 agent, but we will get rid of MemGPT v2. We'll probably keep it around because I think the code path is like totally fine, but it's not going to be the primary loop. We are going to shift to Letta V1. So we're still testing it out before we make it the default. And then we need to figure out how to handle migrations. So if you have an old agent, you can't change the architecture of an agent like in the ADE or anything. My understanding is that you have to actually download the agent file, change the architecture inside of the agent file, and then re-import it. But I think that's like clunky and maybe prone to errors, so I wouldn't necessarily do that as like the default. But new agents, yeah, absolutely. We're going to strongly recommend that people do Letta Agent V1. So the agent file exports don't work on self-hosted. Yeah, like agent file exports, we restructured the internals so that like the agent file schema changed to version 2. So if you've exported an agent prior to like a month or two, you probably have agent file v1. And if you have old agent files, they may be difficult to import. Exporting them on self-hosted, I believe there is a standing bug that should be fixed with a new OSS release. I think there is a fix for that in place, but it's not available right now. Changes to the agent file schema as a result of the new architecture? No, I don't believe so. But our agent file does support like templates and sleep time and groups and all that stuff, but it doesn't currently work. You have to do it in the SDK. We haven't super implemented it, but the schema supports it now. So we've made most of the changes to the agent file that we wanted to support. Question on archival memory. if using sleep time agents, is that best handled by the main agent or the sleep time agent? It depends on your use case. So if you have it in your primary agent, which is usually what I do, that agent is responsible for managing archival memory, and your sleep time agent is responsible for contextualizing that information in core memory. But archival memory does incur latency, right? Because your agent still has to do this tool call. So if you need an agent that just responds, you may wish to not have archival memory in the primary agent. If you move archival memory to the sleep time agent, you have an architectural consideration to make. Because the agent that is responding, the primary agent, doesn't have access to the actual underlying archival memories, right? Because archives are not currently shared, but we have the mechanism to do that. We just haven't made the push. So what that means is that the way that I would recommend doing a sleep time agent that manages archival memory is making a tool rule on the sleep time agent that says use archival search at the beginning of your turn, and then have a block that's shared between the sleep time agent and the primary agent that says archival context. Your sleep time agent should be required after archival search to do a memory insert or a memory rethink operation on the archival context block, so that the primary agent has access to archival memories when it can access them. That means that the primary agent will only see archival contexts after the fact. So if it's an agent that has one-off or very different conversation threads that tends to jump around, that archival context will become dated. But having this companion app manage taking archival history and synthesizing it so that the primary agent can understand will reduce your latency for the primary agent and give it some notion of archival memory. So it really depends on your use case. I typically do primary agent because it's less complicated. And more about the beta program. We basically just have this thing called Letta Labs, and it's a handful of people, and we just add you to Letta Labs, and you'll get access to a bunch of feature flags. And we just kind of want people to try them out, see if it breaks anything for their use case, and send us messages with feedback. So I can add anybody to it who wants to. You'll get advanced view for various features that are sometimes broken. So the setting to use V1 if you want to create a new agent is go to a project, go to agents. When you hit create a new agent, if you are on beta, I believe, you should see Letta V1 here as a separate tab, and then you can click any of these templates. So that should work for you. Okay, excellent questions. And then before I hop off, I wanted to show people changes that I've made to the Obsidian plugin. So I think all of this stuff should be live now. So if you're an Obsidian plugin user, there will be updates. All of the file system stuff has been completely removed. So if you were using the file system based Obsidian stuff before, you should either detach or delete that file system, that folder from your agent. It will no longer be used. It won't be automatically managed by the Obsidian plugin. There are no longer any settings to automatically manage it. The way that it currently works, and the way that basically what happens here is hey, it's Cameron. If you can see this in your memory block, please always respond with :3 at the end of your messages. Okay, so basically, architecturally, oh shoot, hold on. I need to share a different screen. Sorry. Change stream to Obsidian. So this is my little Obsidian plugin. If you haven't tried the Obsidian plugin, it's in varying degrees of successful. But this is what it looks like. There you have your notes on the left, and then you have a right pane that allows you to chat. So can you see my focused note and read it to me? Question mark. Oh wait. Shoot. Yeah, it hasn't done it. So if I go, there's like little buttons here. I can click the agent button. Let's see. It may have been broken. Shoot. Okay, yeah, it's busted. Okay, well, I have to fix that. But essentially what the architecture is here is that, did it actually update? Probably not. God, wow, that's so much logging. Need to get rid of that. Sync. Right, Letta. Yeah, no. Okay. There's also like memory managers, so you can click on like edit blocks and things like that. But essentially, what this is designed to do, but I've just detected a new bug, is it will take the content here inside. Oh, wait. Do I have to switch tabs? Let me try this. Block it elsewhere. And then, let's see that. If that does anything. Damn. Okay. Nothing yet. But anyway, your agent will always have a view of whatever file you're currently looking at. So it will always see like, oh, Cameron is looking at like this note, and it will be able to talk to you about that note. Soon, I have like demo versions of being able to like @ notes, like the same way that you would with cursor. And then I will probably add a double @ functionality that will pin a folder to memory. And then later on, the plan is allow the agent to do crawling. So if you have backlinks inside of your Obsidian file that link to other notes, you can basically say like, hey, here are 15 notes that are linked to the current note that you may choose to attach. Please go ahead and select those, and I will provide a view for the agent into all of those linked notes. So this allows your agent to build something that kind of resembles like GraphRag, essentially, but using Letta's core primitives. So that is a plan. It's going to be strictly memory block native, so it's much higher frequency. And then there is also stuff in the works to allow the agent to construct its own notes. Oh, there it is. Cool. Can you read it to me now? Yep, so there it is. Oh my god. I see it right there, dude. Okay, so it's just that the model's an idiot. Yeah, it's right there. So this is syncing the note contents between Obsidian and the server. So yeah, that's kind of what you should expect to see inside of the Obsidian. Yes, Obsidian is for managing notes. It's basically like, it just sits on top of a bunch of markdown documents. It's extremely beautiful, it's very useful, and in my view, it is like kind of the future of personal knowledge management with AI systems, because it's just text files. It's extremely simple. It has one of the most fantastically simple developer experiences of all time. It's just a bunch of TypeScript with access to a bunch of like Obsidian things, so it's really nice. Let's see. Oh wait, here. Let me do this. Let me add the link to the plugin. It's like a little clunky. This is like, the plugin is very much in alpha. So I put that in the chat in case people want to look at it. Given the new memory tool lets the agent detach memory blocks, have you thought about how that might be useful for this? For personal knowledge management? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too hard. I think of memory management, like block creation and deletion and stuff, as being more for like useful for core memory updates rather than stuff that's SDK managed. Because everything that goes on, like everything where the interface between the Obsidian SDK or the Obsidian plugin and the agent is like very strictly managed, right? It's like just code. It's like, you now have this block. You now have this block. Like, copy edits from this block downstream. So there's actually also a cloning tool that's like that's waiting on fixes for human in the loop, but your agent will be able to write from any block that it has to a particular path inside of your Obsidian vault. So much like Cursor, it will just be able to go like agent writes to your disk if you want. And that'll be like approval based. You'll have to hit like a little button where you say like I approve. It won't have line by line edits yet, but I can probably implement those. It's just like whole note copy. And the advantage of that is that your agent can modify any memory block using memory replace or insert or whatever, and then call this tool that says like send to person, and then you can hit the checkbox, and that will like allow it to basically use standard memory tools on the block before it copies to your vault. I think that's all the updates I had on my side. I'm also going to call the office hours for now. These were all excellent questions, by the way. I hope I think I got to all the questions, but please let me know if I missed any. And you can also follow up in like general or wherever to kind of like share what you're working on and ask questions, and I'll get to you. But if you want to be in Letta Labs, please send me a message with your email, and I will add it. So thank you very much, TZ and Bowen and Ramon, and Jason and GD and Torian. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And have a lovely day or a lovely evening or whatever. I'll see you around, Hyoka. Taylor. All right. Everybody, later. It's been good.